upside down. There we go. Okay. Sorry guys, slightly new setup this time. Give me half a second. This is gonna be so awkward. Not live but not undead. Thank you. Hi! Okay, we've got a couple people. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get a slightly better camera. It's not the easiest right now. I'm gonna wait until we have a few more people. But hello everyone and welcome. Just bear with me while I tweak this ever so slightly. Oop. Wasn't that gonna end well. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. That might be a little bit better. See if I can angle this down ever so slightly. It's awkward. Okay. Okay, how's that? Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Oh, I can actually see what I'm doing this time on like a proper screen. This is really exciting. Hello everyone and welcome to another live build. Yay! I'm gonna try to angle the camera down before we get started so I can actually show you what I'm doing. Today, we are building a model V-2 rocket, which I am going to insist we call the A4 so that we talk about it in terms of rocketry and not in terms of killing people, because that is obviously a huge part of the story. I have a stack of books right here that I will be telling you guys about as we build a little bit and maybe ever so slightly promoting a couple of them / mine. But anyways, okay, we've got a handful of people. I'm gonna bring myself closer in and I'm gonna try one more time. Sorry, I'm just gonna angle this slightly down if I can, so that you guys can actually see the table where I'm building, as opposed to just my face talking. Let's see. I need like an actual thing. There we go. That's slightly better. Pete is on the couch next to me. Yeah, so sorry guys, we're trying some new things today, and it's tech-wise on my end, it's a little bit messy. Okay, so V-2 rocket. This is not a kill. This is a Pegasus Hobbies Easy Snap kit, which I thought was really funny. Not like the models I've ever built are hard, because you guys watched me build the Lego Saturn V. That one was a little bit rough, but I figured out how to Lego eventually, just like a kid. I've done sort of like the level 2 and 3 and up Revel kits. I never know how to pronounce it. But I've never actually done a military museum collection snap and build model. I thought it would be interesting, super quick, but more than anything, it was the only way Amazon just suggested I might want the V-2 model kit. So I thought this would be a very interesting one, and I do have some other model rockets sitting on my counter over there you guys can't see, that I'm going to build, so I thought this would be a very interesting, a good place to start talking about some early rockets, and also a super quick, easy thing to build. I just saw a question, is it painted? It is not painted. I'll open it up and show you guys what's on the inside, but we are going to paint it, or at least start painting it. I might not totally have time to finish it before I get sick of talking to myself on the internet. But okay, so let's get started. Oh, and before I do this, I do want to let you guys know this is the, I'm trying to stay low enough for the camera. I'm doing a build this week, and I'm going to be in Kansas this week giving a talk at the Cosmosphere, so I'm going to be doing a live video hopefully from there as well, and those are going to have to take the place of my regularly scheduled videos this week, because again, I'm in Kansas and I just ran out of time to get everything done, including regular videos. So I'll be back next week with stuff, don't worry, but I will not leave you guys without content. Case in point, Easy Snap V-2. Okay, so let's open it up and let me show you guys what I have on the inside. Okay, so it's like any rocket kit, if you guys have ever built one of these. It's just got pieces that you snap out, and apparently I've never actually done the snap together one, so I'm kind of curious what this is going to look like. So it's got, this is obviously the body. These are the fins, and I assume this is going to be a test stand or rocket mount bit. Okay, we'll find out. But this is the other piece, and then there's, oh, this fell apart in the box. But I assume this is going to be nose, tip of the nose cone maybe, and also test stand pieces. So it is made of plastic. It's super simple plastic. Yeah, it comes with a very small little instruction booklet. Yeah, it looks like it's done in 5 steps. Let's be clear, it is super, super quick. So this shouldn't take me too long. But I do want to talk about some paint schemes and stuff. Okay, so for paint schemes, okay, well, let's take a step back and let's just give you guys the super quick introduction to what the V-2 is/was. So a couple books that I would recommend as interesting starting points to talk about the V2. The Rocket Team. This is a book by Frederick Ordway and Mitchell Sharp with a foreword by Werner von Braun. And this one that I think is quite an interesting starting point if you kind of want to get the history of it. The Nazi Rocketeers by, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, I'm sorry, Denis Pizwecki. I can't pronounce it. I'm pretty sure that's Polish, and I'm not good at this. I'm sorry, I'll write it down. After the video is live and archived, I will have the notes in the description of books to get. And because I do talk about this a fair bit in my own book, I will remind you guys, my own book, Breaking the Chains of Gravity, does, case in point from Brown, does get into a lot of the V2 history. And it does start where I'm going to start talking. So for those of you who've actually read my book, some of this might be familiar. But if not, let's learn a little bit about the backstory of the V2. So the V2 that we know of, that everyone knows of, is the V stands for, and again, apologies guys, my German pronunciation is not perfect, Vergeltungswaffe 2. So Vergeltungswaffe means vengeance weapon. So we all kind of know colloquially about the V2 as the vengeance weapon, the rocket that the Nazis launched on largely on England, but on a number of other European cities in the closing months of the war, as a way that this was like Hitler's last chance to kind of win the war for Germany. He thought this would be like his wonder weapon to change the game in Germany's favor in the final months. Of course, didn't work. Allies won, but the backstory of the V2 is quite interesting. So it all starts, let's bring back our little Werner von Braun, who's not little by any means. He's a man in this picture. So the roots of the V2 really go back to amateur rocket societies in Germany in the 1920s. There was a group that von Braun was a part of called the Verein für Raumschifffahrt, which is Society for Interplanetary Travel. Started in 1927 in a pub. And sorry, I'm getting pop-ups all over the place. It was really a way for enthusiasts who had kind of explored the technicalities and the intricacies of rocketry, not just as a physical thing of, is it possible, is it feasible? Yes, but what are the applications? And a lot of them had space flight as the ultimate goal. So, mentioned von Braun was part of the VFR, so was Max Valier, who was an early proponent of rocket travel, rocket airplanes, cars. Again, all of this is in my book. And also Hermann Oberth, who was one of the grandfathers of rocketry. He was a huge influence on Valier and on von Braun. So there was a huge little group of these guys who were building rockets. They had the technical understanding and also had the dream of actually making rockets for spaceflight. So the rockets they developed, they started, and I think I've got actually a picture in here. I'm sorry there's no better way to pop one of these up in a live stream because, as you guys know, I do this off my phone because it's so much easier as an interface. But the rockets they started off with, I'll see if I can find one while I talk, were very, very small rockets. They were, minor little things, kind of just long, basic tube-shaped rockets. They didn't have a whole lot of power. They were designed such that the combustion chamber was actually in the nose of the rocket, which would burn the body sometimes, just like the trailing tail for balance. They were not in any way the best system, and so it was von Braun's group that ended up saying, well, what if we put the rocket engine in the bottom and put a guidance system in the nose, and gradually developed it into a rocket. So this amateur rocket group was starting to play around with early liquid propulsion and combustion engines and combustion chambers, and we're getting into a little bit of trouble from the local police in Berlin for accidentally setting a police shack on fire when a launch went awry. But eventually, it was Walter Dornberger, who was part of the German Army ballistics department, who saw what they were doing and really saw and understood the potential of rockets as a weapon. Now, the reason why the Germans were looking at potentially using rockets as a weapon was because, as per the Treaty of Versailles after the First World War, they couldn't have an air force. This was part of the kind of constraining Germany after the First World War. But rockets created a loophole because you could have a rocket isn't an airplane, but it's still an aerial weapon. So Dornberger was actually the one who saw the value in what von Braun was building, what von Braun and his team were building. He tried to actually recruit von Braun and his whole team, the whole VFL, into the army. A lot of them were uncomfortable working for the military, but ultimately a separate offer was made by Dornberger and his commanding officer, General Becker. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head. As you guys know, my live streams are very much off the top of my head. They made von Braun an offer that he couldn't refuse. Basically, they offered to fund all of his research, allow him to build the rockets of his dreams, and also get him a doctorate out of it. So von Braun was about 20 when this happened. So he was 20, suddenly had the German army giving him all the money he needed to build rockets and also get the degree he needed to have the credibility to be Dr. von Braun out of this. I mean, that's a pretty phenomenal position to be in as a 20-year-old rocket engineer. So gradually, the rockets that he'd been building with the VFL, and a few of the members of the VFL did end up joining his group with the Army, they developed what was called the aggregate series of rockets. This is where the original, I said I was going to paint this V-2 like the A4. The A stands for aggregate. So the aggregate rocket series was how they played around and figured out how exactly the rocket should go. So the A1 was the first iteration. It was the earlier version that was less powerful and kind of more proof of concept-y than real weaponing. The A2, same thing, developing the concept. The A3, each one had more elements to it. Again, I go through this in my book. The A3 was one of the first to have a guidance system. The A5 actually came next. This was the first to have, there was upgraded features that would make it an actually viable weapon, because the A4 designation was reserved as the first flight-worthy rocket. So the A4 was developed by von Braun's team for the German army that was then, of course, taken over by the Nazis once the party came into power and the Second World War began. So there's a very interesting story that I won't get into now because there are a lot of details in how the team that at this point had been growing and had millions of Reichsmarks put into funding their program to develop the rocket. The program was basically strong-armed away from von Braun by the SS, and it becomes a very interesting political story. But the A4 was ultimately the first rocket that could fly, cover a significant distance with relatively good accuracy because it did have a guidance system, and was then rechristened the V-2 by Goebbels' propaganda machine, because A4 does not sound as scary as Vengeance Weapon 2. Of course, the V1, Vergeltungswaffe 1, or Vengeance Weapon 1, was the buzz bomb. This was a similar-ish thing. It was dropped from a plane and didn't have this, wasn't a standalone rocket that could be launched. But I spoke to, actually, here's a story that I just remembered right now. When I wrote my undergraduate honors thesis, one of the guys on my committee, his father, he's from London, and his father had been, I can't remember where exactly he lived outside of London, but had seen and heard V1 and V2 attacks, and said that even though the V2 is remembered as the scariest weapon because it's a rocket, and rockets are scary in that context, it was actually the V1 that was far scarier, because the V1 traveled slower than sound, so you could hear the buzz of the engine as it was nearing its target. When you heard that buzz, you had no idea if it was going to hit you, if it was going to be close to you at all, if it was going to be super far away and you're just hearing it pass over you. But the V2, because it broke the sound barrier in flight, you didn't hear it coming. So in a way, hearing the explosion of a V2 was less scary, because if you could hear it, you weren't dead. So that was actually a really interesting thought that was passed on to me in the middle of my defense. Oh, Pete. Pete's playing in a plastic bag. That's what that crinkling is. So that was a really interesting sort of side story of the V2 that I hadn't really thought about when I met one of my advisors, and it was just so interesting to meet someone with that first-hand experience. Sorry, V1 was ground launched. Someone just popped that up. What was I thinking of? I was thinking of there was another one that was air launched. I'm getting my rockets mixed up because I'm in V2 mode, not V1 mode. So the V2 was the was kind of like the standout technology of the Second World War in a lot of ways. I mean, there were a lot of advances. Conflict always breeds these kinds of technological advances, right? But the V-2 really stood out as both the Americans and the Soviets really wanted this technology. Pete Conrad, can you do that in the other room? So it was something that both the Americans and the Soviets wanted, and the Americans actually sent a delegation to Germany while the war was still on. The war was almost over, but it was before the official ceasefire in 1945, so that engineers, including NASA's first deputy administrator, Hugh Dryden, could interview people like von Braun to understand the rocket and understand the technology. And it was ultimately, as many of you know, and again is very much written in my book, it was the von Braun and his team realized that if they wanted to keep building rockets, and the only option they really had was to go to the United States. They saw going to the Soviet Union as trading one insane dictatorship for another. Britain was destroyed and wouldn't necessarily want the engineers who had destroyed their towns to be working for them, although they did interview them to understand the technology. And France was the other country that was sort of in the game, but not really. They had no interest in going to France. So von Braun orchestrated a pretty intense escape for his team from Germany, and they surrendered to Americans, and they moved, they all immigrated. Well, they were prisoners of war for a while and sort of on loan for a few years before they ended up actually formally applying for citizenship and beginning the process to become American citizens in the 1950s. But because the Americans got the von Braun, they also got the bulk of the V-2s that had survived bombings and early raids. So something like, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it was miles worth of train cars of material were ultimately imported into the United States. I think there was only one full V-2, but there were pieces of the V-2 that were recovered from underground storage and also the concentration camps at Dora. And the V-2 was built in it's called Mittelwerk, an underground factory called Mittelwerk towards the end of the war. All these pieces and the blueprints were recovered and brought to the United States, where they were rebuilt so that American engineers could understand the technology. And then ultimately von Braun and his team moved to the Redstone Arsenal, where they ended up building the Redstone and other rockets that came from V-2 heritage technology, including, as we know, the Saturn series, including the Saturn V that launched America to the moon. So that's the super, super brief version of the story. It's obviously so much more detailed than that. Again, it's the politics gets nuts, the personalities gets nuts. If you guys are interested in the actual full story, I would strongly recommend it. There's so much interesting stuff that goes on into the backstory of the V-2. Definitely worth it if you are super into the V-2, super excited to learn about it. That all being said, let's build one. And by build one, I mean, I'm gonna put my little safety plastic thing down so I don't completely destroy my island, but let's start building it. Okay. So, I just saw a couple questions coming up. Sorry, I'm trying to watch the camera, not the question feed, but a couple questions came up. My book is available on Amazon. It's available in some bookstores. It's not every place, which is sad to me. But it's also available on my website if you would like a signed copy. I ship them out myself, so shipping will take you a bit longer if you do it, but you can go to my website, amysharetitle.com, and the store there will take you to my Shopify store, and you can pick one up. I've probably got about 40 in stock right now, so you're good to get an order in now before they disappear, because I order them in bulk every few months and it just can take a while. So okay, so yes, it's available on Amazon. Pete, the book, I see a question, it is available as an audiobook. I did not read it. I didn't have the chance to read it, sadly, but it is available as an audiobook, also on Amazon. It's also an ebook you can download on Amazon. So that's about it. Okay, so because I am working with my phone streaming, it's really hard to actually angle it down in a way. I'm trying to figure out a better system to do a live stream. Working on it, guys, working on it. But for the meantime, I'm just gonna hold up and show you everything that I'm doing. Yes, audible.com as well. I forget about that because I don't do ebooks. Okay, so no sections. So this is like, there's so little here. So I don't know how many of you guys watched the Saturn V build, but that came with like a book of instructions. This is like a little pamphlet. So yeah, I know I need 2 cameras, but I don't know how to set that up. So I'm gonna pop out the pieces. So we're gonna do, this is so, can I read the audiobook next time? I can try. All right, so I'm popping out the pieces, the main pieces. This says nose section assembly, but to me this looks a lot like the main body assembly. It's supposed to have numbers in the back, but you can tell, that it's got, I don't know, let me angle this in the light, maybe you guys can see, but it's got a snappy bit. You can tell it's going to be popping together pretty quickly, but it looks like this piece, oh yeah, B5. Okay, so then this piece goes in. Where's this thing? Okay, so someone just asked if I am using a knife. I do have my quick little knife here, but this is such an easy pop out thing. I'm not even sure I totally need it, but I am gonna just smooth off. You can kind of see there's a little like knobbly bit up here. I'm gonna attempt not to cut my hand open live on the internet, and maybe I'll do it away from me. I'll go down and yeah, just kind of shave that off so I actually end up with a nice smooth line. There, that did it. So yeah, if you guys are interested in this kit, I got it on Amazon. It was, I can't remember how much it was, but it was relatively, it was like it was impulse buy level cheap. I want to say it was maybe 20 bucks, maybe less. So not super expensive, and then you too can have your very own V-2, or A4 as we are calling it, because we're talking about rocketry, not weapons, because rockets are fun and weapons are less fun, slash no fun at all. Okay, so that one's smooth, and we'll just smooth out this one. I'm really scared of cutting my hand open and showing you guys the inside of my skin. Okay, a cutting board. But this is, I've got like a, sorry, you guys can't see it, but I do have a like surface protector thing down here, so I'm attempting not to completely destroy my table. Okay, so how does this look? This actually came out pretty cleanly. I don't know what this is, but this slides right into the, yep, this has got to end up being an attachment point, but this, there we go, is gonna slide, let's see if I can do this. Okay. This is gonna pop into this little knobbly bit here. Oop, darn it. Maybe not. It is gonna go. There it goes. All right. Pete's just crinkling around in bags, and he's not helping. Why won't this fit in? See, you guys, once again, there it goes. Did you hear the snap? Nope, that's not right. It's not obvious whether this has to go right side down or right side up or upside down. I even looked at the instructions before I started this time, so I wouldn't be going in super blind like the Saturn V build, but apparently I didn't look closely enough. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay, sort of. Okay. So we're snapping these two together. Nope, that didn't work. I will get Pete some treats, thank you. Why won't you click in? Just click in, there we go. Okay, click in, there we go. This is gonna work. There it is. There it is. I was expecting a way more satisfying snap out of that, but this is our main body of our A4. Okay, so now we get into some slightly more, main body assembly. Main body assembly. This doesn't look like main body assembly, which makes me wonder who wrote the instructions to this and did they know what a rocket looks like? Okay, so these are going to obviously be the fins. So the V-2 had 4 fins. I did meet, I think I've said this before, I met Jim Lovell at an Apollo 13 event a couple years ago, and he gave a talk as part of the dinner and mentioned, I forget how this came up, but he mentioned at one point that fins were basically Von Braun's trademark, that every rocket he did had fins. So the V-2 is absolutely no exception to that rule. It's true. Every one of his stuff had fins. The Saturn V, the Redstone, the Saturn 1B. Also, you know, the Titan II, which was an ICBM variant, did not have fins because it had to launch out of a missile silo initially. The Titan I. So, and also the Titan II. So yeah, when you don't have to use it as a weapon, you can do things like fins for stability. So I'm just, how many versions of the A4? So the A4, sorry, I'm going to try to take some questions while I do this so it's less ranty and more talky. There were many, the A4 was a version. So I think the question should be more, how many aggregate rockets were there, because there was the A1, 2, 3, 5, and 4 that we know, and then there was also some unrealized A8, 9, and 10, and there were other versions. Should I do this wrong already? Where's the, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. So there were later versions of it that were designed to be a multi-stage rocket that were that would have wings that were going to actually launch a manned vehicle. So it would be like, again, I do talk about some of these plans in my book. I'm just going to do this very awkwardly in the background. I can't do that. It's too boastful. So there were versions that had wings so that the main body of the V-2, which we are putting together here, would be the kind of the booster first stage, and then a small engine on the glider would be the second stage, and it could either be piloted or just punt a warhead even further. So yeah, the idea was to build on the V-2's capability and create a much larger weapon. One of them, I think it was the A-10, was written down at some point as being the America bomber, because it was the first weapon designed to actually launch from a Western European launch site and actually hit the United States. That's kind of where the technology was starting to go. Okay, so we've got these two halves of the afterbody. So this is kind of where the fins are going to go. You can see that it's got the grooves in there. So we're going to see, okay, so these snap together, and then the fins, oh, I should have paid attention to the number that I was popping off. That was unfortunate. These don't have any markings on the actual piece of what number they are. Okay, this might be fun. Okay, two of them have to be, okay. Okay, this makes sense. Does it go this way or does it go this way? No, it goes this way. Okay, so, right. So, okay, so we're putting the fin on that way, this way, this way. Does it go that low down? Yes, it goes this low down. So basically putting the fin over these little knobbly bits. Yeah, they don't all go. Do they all go? No, they don't all go. Putting the fins over these little knobbly bits to keep it steady, and then clicking the two halves together. God, this clicky model is like a weird happy medium model. Okay. Oh, and then it goes right onto this thing. Okay, so it's actually awkward to hold with all the pieces not clicked in yet. Okay, wait, let's try this side. Let's try this side. Okay, there we go. Nope. Nope. Wait, yes? No, it's the wrong side. Wrong side? Pete, come help me. He just walked across the floor. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I'll get this. I'll figure it out. Okay. Okay. We're good. We're good. I gotta shave some plastic off this, though. This should be easier. Okay. Nope. There. Nope. It's also awkward that it doesn't line up because can't really see what's going on with the color here. Okay. It's all just that one slate gray. How much fun is this, guys? I know Yes, I see, Michael. I know. I have a follow-up on your latest comment right there. Ah, did it work? Oh, consarn it! Come on. Or if any of you guys followed my Apollo 16 live stream, we can take a leaf out of, I believe it was Ken Mattingly's book with "Gall Dang It," which is my favorite astronaut curse I think I've ever heard, because how adorable is that? Oh, no. God, if a model rocket is this hard, I can't imagine building a real one. That's a joke, by the way. I'm well aware that real rockets don't snap together. It would really help if these would just, like, stay put so I could not be fussing around with keeping the fins in at the same time. Let's try it on this side. Am I doing it on the wrong side? Still trying to do it. Still trying to get... Oh my god, this is so annoying. Sadly means I will probably not be painting it today. Oh, this is a... Well, it's together. This feels really, really scary and flimsy. I'm not gonna lie. You guys can hear it rattling. Like, I thought it would maybe be a little bit more solid looking. But, okay. This is okay. We're good. We're good. I'm just gonna get a little bit of the plasticky bits off. There we go. I think I have some sandpaper somewhere too. But, okay. I gotta glue it. So I saw someone said you gotta glue it. This is a snap. This is a snap model that does not require any glue. It just says, I'm just gonna bring up the box here, because if you guys are interested, as I said before, Pegasus Hobby Models. It just says paint not included, glue not included, or needed. So it's a rattly little rocket, but that's okay. I might have to glue it just so that I can, like, use it as a, like, model demonstration thing and not have it fall apart in my hands. All right, so then we have the other fins, and we are going to just, well, I mean, it should pop in with that sound, but there we go. Fin. And, come on, ow. I feel like Homer when he was playing with that like war toy and it shot a rocket in his mouth and exploded. That's about to happen to me. Why won't that go in? Ow. Okay. Well, it stands up. So it might be the case that snap kits still need a little bit of glue, but it's starting to look like a V-2/A4. Okay, so then the launch, so this is it. Like, this is all it's giving. Oh, sorry guys, 1/48 scale. So this is actually, oh, I didn't bring them, but I've got more. But I do actually have a model, I think it's my X15 that is also 1/48 scale. I'll have to double check what they are, but I know that I've got other models that are actually the same. Engineers always need something fixable with glue. That is the same scale, so it would be interesting to actually see just how much how similar the scale is, or how different it looks next to the X15. I think I might also have my lunar module, and my command module might also be 1/48 scale. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell. I usually, like, when I have the model rockets, you can kind of gauge based on how big humans are and knowing what they look like standing next to it. But because no human ever rode in this, I don't really have as good a sense of scale. Okay, so now we're going to put together the launch pad. So taking this piece, B6 and C12 and C13. Alright, so it just goes one. Well, that snapped together really nicely. And then, wait, nope. Did I do that wrong? And then, oh yeah, this goes in. Oh wait, I need to get some of this. Yeah, I gotta get some of this plastic off. Let's do it this way for safety. Safety first, always when you play with knives, even when you're a grown-up. I can't believe Pete's not here helping me with this. Okay. Actually, there's some on here that I'm going to cut off as well. There we go. Okay. And we're just going to file this off. Okay. So now that's nice and clean, and then we're going to pop this thing on. That actually like snaps satisfyingly. So then we have this thing as the, that's it. So that's it. It just like slides in like this. That's the V-2 on the stand. It is super not, it feels like it's gonna fall over really, really quick. But it does stand up on its own, so that's fun. I still feel like it needs to be glued because it is flimsy and scary, and this fin does not want to sit flush against the body, and that's bugging me. But it's pointy on the side, and I can't put enough pressure on it without hurting my finger. Oh. Nope, that made it worse. Nope. Cons aren't it? Come on. Just... I don't know. I don't know why this one fin won't just, like, snap in and, like, be a happy fin. It's a V-2. Is there anything else? I think... And then there's a nose cone. The last thing we have, because that should not be open like this. Sorry, I'm watching on my computer, but nose cone. I'm just going to get the extra bit of plastic off here. Ow. Let's not do that. Let's do this. Okay. This is going to fall over on me in half a second right now. Sigh. At least the Saturn V has survived this long, guys. It's currently sitting on my island right behind the camera because I don't have a shelf for it yet, but I will get there eventually. Nose cone. Alright. I still really need to figure out what's going on with this fin before I can even think about painting it. But I think I might actually have to glue it because I don't really feel like this is secure. This one's in and this one won't go. Hang on, let me try to even this out. How many of you guys out there actually do sort of the plastic model kits? I haven't done this in so long. It's been like, golly, I want to say I think I stopped doing models. I used to do models more in Arizona because I had nothing to do when I lived out there. I think I stopped doing models around the time I got Pete because he always had to like have his face in things when he was a kitten. And now that he's a, you know, grown-up old man cat, he's less in my face, sort of, but doesn't need to be eating things as much. He sleeps more than like needs to be around. Why won't you fit? Ugh. Come on. I don't know. Like, this one just won't fit in properly on the side. So yeah, I haven't done modeling in a long time, but it's kind of fun. But you guys, you've seen the, you know, the command service module and the lunar module that I use as demonstrations all the time. Like, I love having these as ways to illustrate things. When I give talks, I love having these on hand, because who doesn't like to go to a talk when a grown-up has a bag of toys? It's really funny. So I always have like a model rocket or model spacecraft on the lectern when I give a talk, just because it's kind of entertaining. Let me see. This won't go in. I think I'm going to have to deal with this separately. I'll have to deal with this another day, because I need to figure out why this one just like won't sit flush against it. You guys can kind of see that this one, sorry, the light is awkward in here, but this one is, what is it? Yeah, this one is super like flush against the body, and this one just like won't go all the way in. It's really annoying because I want to paint it eventually. So before I stop talking to myself on the internet, it's been a while and it's exhausting. So this kit, again guys, it's the Pegasus Hobby Snap Model Kit. It sort of recommends this camouflage, the camouflage paint scheme. I don't want to do that because, again, I don't want to make it a weapon. I want to make it a rocket model. So what I what I'm going to do is the closest, I couldn't find actually a good picture of the paint scheme that I want, but there was the scheme that I'm looking for is similar to this one. I'll see if I can show you guys. It's similar to this one, which is the test paint scheme for the A4, so that you can track the roll program. So there's one that's kind of iconic. It's got about the bottom half, and then it's basically split into thirds, black and white sections, sort of half black, half white, alternating, so that as the program is rolling, you can actually track the roll. So that's actually the paint scheme that I've seen in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. I just saw a comment that is what they have in the model in Peenemünde. Like I said, guys, I'm going to Kansas this week. I'm going to the Kansas Cosmosphere, and I know that they have a V-2, and it's also that same paint scheme. So that's what I'm going to do with mine. But before I do that, I'm going to mark it out properly and fix this fin. So I might do the paint live. I might not. But we'll find out. And yeah. I think that's about it. I really just kind of wanted to have an excuse to talk to you guys a little bit more candidly about the V-2. A couple questions that I've got. Someone just asked if I will ever go to Peenemünde. I really, really, really want to. I've only been to Germany once, and I did not have time to do any of these rocket history things. I was in Wiesbaden for 4 days. So yes, one of these days, once I can actually get myself over there, I will be doing a trip to Peenemünde. I will be trying to find anyone I know that can help me get sort of inside beyond just the museum, because I'd love to see anything. And I've heard that you can actually get, there's also a museum in Metallwerk, which is, like I said, the underground factory where the V-2s were built after 1943, when Hitler shoved all the money he had at the program. I think you can still get down there too, and I would love, love, love to see that, just as a point of interest in history, and guaranteed it will make me absolutely cry, so that'll be fun. So yes to that. There was another question that I saw. Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry, I keep seeing this. What happened to the NACA? The NACA, again, guys, so blatant self-promotion. My book is basically about the transition of the NACA to NASA and all the things that it brought in to become the space agency from the Aeronautics Advisory Committee. So the NACA, for those of you who don't know, was the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. It was founded in 1915. It was tacked on to, as an afterthought to a rider on a Navy bill. It was kind of a nothing thing, but basically the idea was America arguably invented flight. This is a contentious issue between Lilienthal and the Wright brothers. There's a very interesting story there that I can get into on another day. But anyways, Americans arguably pioneered flight with the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk, but within a decade, we're lagging behind French and the Europeans and all this stuff. So the idea was, well, let's found an advisory committee to help us retain power in the air. So the NACA was founded, and this became the main research body. It supported private sector form of airlines and stuff, but also military, running all the wind tunnels. So the NASA Ames started as an NACA site. Langley started as an NACA site. Even Edwards Air Force Base, the high-speed flight center at there, which is now called the Armstrong Center, that started as an NACA outpost. So the NACA was really bringing all these things together. So when it came time to actually start thinking about putting people into space in the U.S., there was no body that was better equipped to do that than the NACA. So it's a far more complicated story than I'm making it out to be right now. But if you are curious, this is where I get into all the details of it. But the NACA was effectively dissolved and turned into NASA. I think it was a Tuesday morning, October 1st of 1958. The hundreds of people who were working for the NACA were suddenly working for NASA. And it was just like that. It kind of, the legacy was maintained. It was sort of still that same research-heavy institute, only now it was actually doing stuff, not just supporting others. So it's a very interesting story, actually, and the NACA did some amazing things in terms of just aviation evolution and developments. But that was the organization that ended up working with Hunt Brown and engineers from the V-2 era when it became NASA. So the story is very interconnected, like all those big stories are. So I did want to make a note about the paint scheme. Yeah, I already mentioned that about the paint scheme. I'm going to figure this out once I get the fin down, and you guys let me know in the comments whether you'd actually want to hang out and talk more about the V2 while I do the paint, or maybe I'll just do that super quick myself, because it's super easy black and white paint, and it's not going to be that exciting to watch me sit there with my tongue out going painting lines. I even got brushes. But yeah, so super easy little build. This Pegasus Hobbies, there's no promotion. I bought this on Amazon myself because I thought it'd be a fun addition to my little collection. Super easy rocket. Even when you're talking to yourself out loud, doesn't take that long. So if you guys are interested in looking for sort of some easy, quick, historic rocket builds, this is a great one. It's super easy, and will now be part of my collection. So you guys will, once I get my new decor done, it's happening, it's gonna happen, I will have this in the background. So yeah, that should be fun. So I've seen a couple notes popping up, just a couple minor things to remind you guys. I don't have a regular video coming up this week because I am in Kansas giving a talk, but I will be doing a live stream from the Cosmosphere if I have time. If not, I'll be recording some stuff and put together a quick video for next week for you guys about it, because I hear it's an amazing museum. I've never been, and I'm so excited to actually see it. Apollo 13 is there. Apparently it's a great collection. But I'll be back next week with regular videos. And as you guys can probably see, I don't actually know where it is on your screens, but there should be a blue sponsor button somewhere around there, which is a very exciting thing that I am glad I have access to on Vintage Space now. I can take sponsors. So if you click that button, it'll show you what some of the perks are for sponsors. It's a way for you guys to help make Vintage Space possible and make sure that the content you love keeps on coming. There's like I said, there's perks. It works in conjunction with my Patreon, and it's just a way for you guys to get a little bit more involved. And I will remind you guys that it is in beta, so there's still some problems with it. I've seen a couple popping up in the conversation today. I'm gonna figure it out on my end, and hopefully next time I do a live stream, I will have these things sorted so that some of the sponsor perks will be actually working, as opposed to me not being able to figure out how to make it work today. Okay, so that's it. Again, so let me know. Oh, new sponsor. Thank you, Weston. So let me know in the comments if you guys would actually want to hang out during the paint portion of this build. It shouldn't be too long, but it could be a fun way to hang out. I also have 6 other rockets to build, so these will be fun. We're gonna go in historical order, more or less. I think it should be pretty fun. I've even got some Soviet stuff coming up, so let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to try to track down. I saw a couple people asking about oh, what was that? I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, nope, I totally lost the train of thought, sorry. Oh no, sorry, the Skylab, yes. The Skylab adapter to the Lego Saturn V. I have the thing. I have to buy it brick by brick, so maybe I'll do that tonight once my brain is fried from the day working, and just order all those pieces and actually do that build too, because I would actually love to have that Skylab adapter on my 3-foot Saturn V. So yes, that is also coming. I'll try to figure that out. Yeah, so let me know thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. Not that I can really address concerns, but if they're related to Vintage Space, I probably can. So anything like that in the comments below. Let me know what things you'd like to build, talk about. Of course, for regular videos that are far more research with notes on hand as opposed to research in the back of my mind drawing up on a dime, let me know what you'd like to see covered in future episodes. And that's about it. This is going to be awkward because I have to reach around my phone to turn this thing off this time, so apologies for the reach, but thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out, and I'll at least be posting pictures of the finished painted A4 once it is done. That's about it. All right, guys, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Oh, it's awkward.